Lucy has a childlike quality. Some say she is, well, simple. She took care of her mother until she died, and now Lucy lives alone in a 3-room apartment. She walks everywhere, to the bank, to church, to the store. To look at her, you see no signs of age or the wrinkles of worries of this passing world. At age 64, well, like me, she doesn't look a day over 30. Her only income is a Social Security check. And if any money remains after she's paid the bills each month, Lucy picks up a few canned goods to bring to the parish food pantry. At a meeting of the volunteers at that pantry, a parishioner suggested that Lucy should be recognized in some special way, and the group paid Lucy a surprise home visit. They were shocked to see how simply she lived. Lucy has one straight-back chair, one cot on which to sleep, one table, and a radio. She has a saucepan for cooking and a bowl, spoon, knife, and fork for eating. They asked her if they could get her a bed, more dishes, maybe a laptop or furniture. Her response, "I have everything I need. A roof over my head, a cot to sleep on, and food in my belly. I say my prayers and know that Jesus will never let me down." Now, you'd think Lucy's life would be lacking in happiness, filled with a whole lot of discouragement. But she lives filled with such hope, even joy. She really believes that Jesus Christ will never let her down. It's that simple. It's that difficult. It makes me think how often we get so anxious because of entanglements of wealth or material things. For many of us, hope for a better tomorrow is measured by the size of our bank accounts. Jesus' words at the Last Supper tell us that real wealth is to give one's life totally to God and God's will. By doing so, Jesus glorified his Father and received glory in return. In our gospel this morning, Jesus prays that his disciples continue his work. We glorify God when we remain faithful to the mission of Christ, no matter what the difficulties may be. We find ways not to circumvent the crosses of our lives, but to work through them. Today, one of the most important challenges before us is to replace consumption with sacrifice, greed with generosity, wastefulness with a spirit of sharing, and asceticism, which entails learning to give. It's a way of loving, of moving gradually away from what I want to what God's world needs. It's liberation from fear, greed, and compulsion. You know, that I just gotta have attitude. That's one of the challenging lessons we are called to reflect upon in Pope Francis' letter on care for our common home. Last Saturday morning, I was listening to a program on public radio, and what caught my attention was the comment by the guest speaker. He said, "To get stuff is the point of life. The vision of life is to get stuff." My sisters and brothers, our consciences should not let us forget that millions of people cannot find fresh water to drink or in which to bathe, let alone healthy meals to eat. Now, I certainly don't mean to suggest that we should all live like Lucy. Given our particular life circumstance and obligations to others, that may be irresponsible, even reckless. But it does cause you and me to reflect on what's really necessary in life. And to reflect on the question, where do I really find hope for tomorrow? Is it in things? Is it in the stuff I amass? These weeks of isolation provide you and me with a graced opportunity to do some soul searching when it comes to living in such an all-pervasive, consuming society. Does my stuff give me hope, peace of mind? For how long? Christianity holds firmly the truth that Jesus will return, and yet he remains present to us in the Holy Spirit. As Lucy says, Jesus will never, never let me down. Holding on to this promise of his presence and his final return gives us hope when we are tempted to be discouraged. Jesus Christ is the certainty that helps us make sense out of life's trials. Jesus is our hope. His apostles would soon learn this in that upper room when Jesus' Spirit would descend upon them on that Pentecost day, which we will celebrate next Sunday. That Spirit is alive and well over 2,000 years later. Jesus Christ is our hope and joy as we try to follow him on this earth. The Holy Father wrote that Christian spirituality proposes a growth marked by moderation and the capacity to be happy, hope-filled, with little stuff. It's a return to that simplicity which allows us to stop and appreciate the small things, like Lucy. To be grateful for the opportunities which life affords us. To be spiritually detached from what we possess. And not to succumb to sadness for the stuff we lack. It's really an attitude of the heart, isn't it? Oh, to be like Lucy and really, really believe
that Jesus will never let us down. Hear Pope Francis again. Christian spirituality proposes a growth marked by moderation and the capacity to be happy with little. What will I have to show for my life when my time of amassing stuff in this world comes to an end? In our throwaway culture, Lord, never let me discard your promise to be with us always. Make your promise enough for me, Lord. Lord, you are simply enough for me.